All right, this is the January 2024 video chat. This one, I should probably give an intro as to what this is, since there may be new people looking at this. Uh, like every month, I just this is kind of a proof of life video where I just kind of give an update on what's going on and just answer questions people submit. That said, this one's going to be a little different because the last video I posted on the crew shutting down got a lot of feedback. So it's nothing comprehensive yet, but if people have questions on that, like I figure I'll answer some at the start. Just type at Ross Broadcast and see it, and I'll talk about that. Also, I'll give some quick updates on what's going on. Let's see. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of emails. I actually haven't gone through all of them yet. It's over 100. That's all I was doing today, pretty much, besides exercise and chores, is reading them and replying. What the let's see, lost my notes already. Okay, what the plan is I'm just going through all these and just trying to consolidate the data that I think is helpful, particularly organizations that kind of like consumer rights organizations that can kind of swing around more weight. Oh, Linus Tech Tips, great. The plan here, I still need to look through all of them, but I'm keeping notes on all that. And then once I've got it more organized, I'll put it up publicly, and people can get started on it even without me. But eventually, once I really know what the procedure is for each country to kind of maximize our odds, I'll have like instructions on what to do, like which website to go, what information you'll need, where you click on. Basically make it as easy as possible for everyone in every country, that especially European Union, but some others also, to do. Let's see. Some things so far. Oh yeah, one of the people contacting me did know someone at the EFF. They never got my email for some reason, but they did get it now. I sent it to him, and he relayed it to the EFF. So they're looking into it now. Though, okay, I still have a lot more emails to read through, but so far my impression still quite pessimistic for the United States. And actually, it's pessimistic on being able for us to bring forth an actual lawsuit. It sounds like it might almost certainly have to go through one of these agencies, the consumer rights organizations. One Australian lawyer said that, like in Australia, we would be looking at about $80,000 to $200,000 for a case like this before the appeals, which it would be appealed. I mean, assuming it was, unfavorable to Ubisoft. So that's already outside the range of what I'm going to be able to muster. I mean, I think we could probably crowdfund about 1/10 of that. I mean, unless there's secret millionaires in the audience that are all right being less than backing that kind of case money. But again, I'm not holding my breath. One person was mentioning that I might be able to find some law firms willing to do this on a contingency basis, meaning that, they'll do it for free, but they're collecting a healthy bite out of any of the proceedings for damages. Yeah, that's one of the things that, oh wait, I forgot to I was telling people to ask questions and I didn't check if they're there. Okay, I don't see them yet. One thing I forgot to say in the video is I'm not against suing for damages. It's just that that's not the primary goal. But, if a law firm will only do it if they're asking for, I don't know, millions in damages, sure. Besides, even in normal class action lawsuits, it's usually lawyers tend to, make like a bandit, and then the people who are, affected get like $10 or $50 or something. So I'm totally fine with that dynamic for this, because the point isn't to try to get a bunch of money out of it. It's just to end the practice of destroying games by any means necessary. So, Yeah, again, I'm not holding my breath on it for the US. I'm not, but we'll see what the EFF says too. But I think what I said in the video about a 5% chance in the US and 50% chance in a European Union country might be decent odds from what I'm predicting. Uh, let's see. Yeah, okay, so I guess one thing I'm going to kind of rapid fire stuff in the chat just to show you I'm not twirling my thumbs on this. I'm compiling a bunch of information, so of places we might contact. And then there's a few ones I think might be dead ends that I'll mention. There's probably still, and I know there's still more I haven't looked at yet because one guy gave me some stuff for the UK that I didn't have time to compile before this. But if you just want to head starts on this, for general help, someone mentioned the Software Rights Coalition. I'll contact them later. For the European Union, there's the European Digital Rights Group, and I'm going to be putting in links in the chat as I say this. There's the European Consumer Centers Network. Oh, wait, get the URL here. There's the European Citizens Initiative. This one's a little more of a long shot, but we might be able to pull it off if we got enough organization, because it sounds like you need to coordinate between members of multiple different countries, but I think we could do that. Let's see, and someone mentioned I only wrote down the acronym, the ECOJ, I guess European Court of Justice. I'm not sure how you reach that, so I need to do more research on that. In Australia, we have the ACCC, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission. This one might have some teeth. Actually, I'm not certain. I think this might be the reason you can actually have returns on, you can return PC games now, because, for a while you really couldn't. And I think that's where it kind of kicked off, and then other companies started adapting it as a result. So, also for Australia, someone mentioned Screen Australia, which is just an organization for funding Australian media. But the idea is they might know the right people to talk to about this, about basically having games destroyed, though. I don't know of any Australian ones on the chopping block. I guess Path of Exile is New Zealand. I mean, it's not on the chopping block, but it has that vulnerability. Let's see, for the countries, for Germany, there's I'm probably going to mispronounce it, the Verboschungstrolley. Several people mentioned that. There's a link to that. For Belgium, I think there was another one for Germany. Maybe I missed the notes. For Belgium, there's the Test on Coup, which is a consumer rights organization. Finland, there's the KKV, another consumer protection agency. France, well, there's the I forgot how to pronounce it. The UFC Koisar, I'm butchering it, I'm sure. That one I was going to contact anyway, but there's that. But there's also the Halt Obsolescence Organization, which they're focused on real world, like planned obsolescence objects, but for sure they might have some tips for us, of like procedures we might want to try, that sort of thing. So that's the problem, is that like with real world planned obsolescence stuff, the law often treats that games as separate from that. So it's like we have to start from zero on everything, which is a real pain in the ass on it. Let's see. Yeah, for Norway, there's the Forbrukerrådet. I'm sure I'm butchering this. And again, if you're missing this, in Poland, there's the Office of Competition and Consumer Protection. Again, if you're missing this, don't worry about this. I'm going to have all this information later. This is just proof I'm doing something, I plan to compile this all, like probably in a video that'll be like short and to the point and translated, hopefully, of like what you can do to help in every country and have like the steps for it and contact. That'll be a little later on, though. Yeah, actually, that's something I have two questions about, if you know anything about these organizations is one, uh, are these the sort of thing where more people contacting them helps, or is that just going to spam them and kind of make them seize up? I think someone said for the ACCC in Australia, they won't do anything if it's just one person, but if it's a bunch of people, they will. And the other question is, when should we start contacting them? Because Ubisoft has announced the shutdown, but they're, they haven't killed it yet. So do we need to wait for them to kill it? I mean, for sure we should do something starting April. But before then, I don't know. Maybe it is better to just get the ball rolling sooner or not. So I'm still trying to figure that out. Yeah, this is very much a me kind of stumbling forward effort here. But, what? Oh, yeah, okay. So just compiling these links in the curse farms web. Yeah, I'll put them on a website also. Okay, consumer rights for Netherlands. Okay, I'll put that down. And someone may have emailed me that already. There's like 30 emails I haven't looked at yet because I got so many. We have cleared the marker for class action. Yeah, I think we're at like 78 in the U.S. confirmed. People who say they have receipt for the crew. Oh yeah, that's another thing for all these consumer rights agencies. You may not need a receipt. You could just say, "Hey, I bought the crew. It's shutting down. Like I'm being left with nothing now," and that could be enough. So that might open up the audience a lot more. But again, I'll get this into something coherent later on. Let's see. What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, a ton of people mentioned I should talk to Louis Rossman. I probably will reach out to him, but I figure maybe I should kind of organize information more first before I do, because he strikes me as the sort of person who's probably as busy as I am. So I don't want to just kind of waste his time with stuff that we already could have figured out before I even talked to him. So I guess I'll find out from him if my pessimism on trying to go the lobbying route is justified. Because I just feel like if it gets to the point where it has to deal with lobbyists, then I just consider that like a game over for that venue, because I'm very pessimistic on that. Let's see. Also, I'm trying not to get too much publicity on this until we have a plan, but I'll take it as it comes. I'm open to doing, if people want to have like video discussions on this or something in other channels, if think it might be productive, I'm open to that. But let's see. Oh yeah, and I found out this morning, PC Games N, they're one of the bigger PC game news sites. Apparently, they just jumped the gun and made an article on me doing it, which again, I think that's pretty premature, but sure, I guess it's a little more frantic trying to deal with like the extra incoming stuff before I have a good plan to go on, but whatever. So I put on Twitter, I tried to clarify. We may or may not do a lawsuit. It just depends if that's even affordable or not, because I am not on that kind of income level that I can just do this out of pocket. Like, or no, I think my crowdfunding ability isn't even on that income level. So I think we can crowdfund 10% of what we need. So if it turns out like that we just can't do a lawsuit anywhere, then we'll just go we're going to do it anyway, but we'll just go all in on the individual agencies. And someone's asking about renaming and making the Dead Game News thumbnail more attention grabbing. It's all right for now. I'm getting plenty of feedback for now. That's just the brainstorming video. I'll have another video later once I have a plan. I will make that more kind of clickbaity, like something like, watch this if you want to cause problems for Ubisoft or something. you know, uh, and then that'll be just the information on what to do, like, a quick explanation. Okay, somebody has the Portuguese ministry. Let's see. I'll put that in the notes. So yeah, it's, again, I really wish somebody else was kind of taking the charge on this, but I'll keep at it. And actually, on that note, I am going to continue on the other videos. Obviously, this is siphoning off my time a little bit, but I'm not doing this as a substitute for it. It's just pretty busy from when I wake up to going to sleep right now at the moment. Freeman's Mind Status is kind of, it's unfortunately a little bit on hold compared to like the other videos in Game Dungeon. It wasn't getting the same kinds of views, but I'm taking on too much is the problem. That's why I was really hoping somebody would have like led the charge on this, but no, not really. So I guess I have to. Yeah, I mean that's my goal with this is like all these agencies and everything. I'm almost looking at them like a checklist where I want to try and get as many people like in that country to kind of go through that avenue, or many people in Europe to go through like the European Union agencies and that sort of thing. So basically by the end of this, I want to be able to show every single thing I did to try to push this forward. And if that's still not enough, then screw it. I literally will have done everything I can to try to stop games from being destroyed. So, I mean, if literally everything I can do is not enough, then that's not enough. And then I'll probably go all in on the AI extrapolation, because at least that doesn't rely on the law. But let's see. What else? Yeah, okay, so lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, something, I kind of squeezed it in there at the last minute, but when I mean, this probably is actionable, but I don't think this would kind of win us the war, because I think it was just an accident on their part. But when I was looking through physical copies of the crude for the video, I saw one that I put a little footnote on the, potential points for attorneys, that one of them showed that the expiration date for the code as being, January 1st, 2099. Here, I found the link again. I'm putting that in the chat. Yeah, there's just some guy on eBay that had it. So I'm thinking, yeah, that's false. I mean, that's false something. However, that's probably just for some disk copies. And so even if we won on that, probably most companies aren't making that mistake. So I don't think that would kind of win the larger issue. But I mean, if that gets our foot in the door for like an attorney, then sure. Let's see. Off promotion. Oh wait, is that an ad that somebody put? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's an ad somebody put. We can get rid of that, or well, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I get the feeling you actually could make a case on that they're saying that is in print, saying the game that code expires in what, 70 years? Yeah, 75, 76 years. So, yeah, that sounds actionable to me, but whatever. I think that's kind of a one-off, and it doesn't really get to the larger point. Again, the point we're going on is that we were sold a perpetual license. They're rendering it unusable for everyone, and that probably violates consumer law and hasn't been tested. So I think that's literally the only angle. Because once you start looking at the only way the end user license agreement is useful, like if you're going by what that says you're allowed to do, we've already lost and there's no point to any of this. But there's a whole lot of people that don't understand, no, that is not the law. That is not a legal document, and the actual law supersedes whatever that says. So that's the only place that it's useful, is that if it is saying something that directly goes against the law in that region, then somebody's saying trash can on the left. Oh, okay. I don't. Oh, I see. I see it now. Okay. Um, so yeah, and I'm not even. And there's some other people confused. I'm not finding the legality of online only games. I'm finding the company's actions once they end support, because traditionally ending support means you're on your own for maintaining your product. What they're making it mean is every single person they ever sold the game to can never use it again. And I really hate how ending support is used in both those ways, because that's a very different thing than the first one. So yeah, I'm not trying to fight online only games. I'm trying to challenge how they're treated during the shutdown, when support ends. That's the part where I feel like they're kind of breaking the law. 2008, there was a case where EA lost, but it was over DRM not allowing to install Spore on over more than 5 computers. Would that not be a precedent that could be used against Ubisoft? I mean, maybe. That's the thing. It's very frustrating reading about other cases that are like, honestly, asking for less than what I am with this. Because a lot of the consumer laws are kind of written in the short term. Taking away your ownership, like, well after the fact, that's not something that happens much in the real world. I think the best analogy is probably printers. There might have been some printer cases where that's essentially what happened, where they program the the BIOS to or the firmware to stop working after so many uses, but they don't tell you that sort of thing. And it can be difficult to prove. Let's see. Somebody's saying ending official support can sometimes be a godsend because sometimes the game is better off. And yeah, well, that could be the case if the game's ever decrypted. But what about the next game? See, that's the thing. I'm going in on this because I really think it's the best candidate for this practice in general. I mean, because I'm actually kind of hoping the crew doesn't get cracked until after we get any lawsuit or legal action underway, because that might weaken the position a little bit, but maybe not. Because, I mean, if it does get cracked, that's all going to be an illicit kind of measure taken. But I feel like it might weaken the case a little bit, but whatever. I'm going to try to just pursue it any method I can. I think with this many countries and this many consumer agencies, we can probably get something rolling. So that it'll be, I put it like this, I'm confident that if I just follow through on this, we're going to get their attention at some point. I mean, it'll probably be like months down the line, but we might give them some actual pause, like, wow, we lost some on legal fees this quarter. And it's like, because we did the shutdown? Well, but there's a flag to just turn it on. Why don't we just do that? I'd love to think it'd be that simple, but who knows? I mean, they'll probably just fight it tooth and nail by default. Oh yeah, that was another idea I had, but it probably won't work, is apparently you don't need to be an attorney to sue a company. However, I've heard for a class action lawsuit, the workload would be so numerous that it would be unrealistic to expect an individual to be able to handle it. Because I was toying with the idea of raising money and just getting a law student to take their best shot at it. Because, I mean, amateur representation would be better than literally nothing. So, yeah, and also in that dynamic, Ubisoft would be spending much more on their legal team. So drawing it out would not be of benefit to them if we're spending hundreds to thousands and they're spending 6 figures or something like that. So, but yeah, it's yeah, so maybe we should get the ball rolling on it sooner, since they have announced they're going to shut it down and it'll be unusable just in case a crack gets done. But oh yeah, and the last thing I wanted to address before we get to the regular questions was Oh yeah, on that ownership article, this is just sort of a pet peeve thing. Oh yeah, and okay, somebody's asking a question. Is Wireshark packet capture during crew normal play still helpful? I have no idea. I don't have the technical know-how to be able to crack that, but probably not, because there's already a flag for offline mode, and the fastest, because what you're talking about would probably be better for a server emulator, and that would probably be less work than trying to decrypt the flag to enable offline mode. But yeah, a pet peeve of mine on that article that's going around about talking about how the representative of Ubisoft was talking about how consumers, need to make the shift to not owning their games in order for that to be more successful. I saw so many. This is where like the internet loses all nuance, because I saw a lot of quotes saying, "Oh, this is just rage bait." That's not what they said. If you look at it carefully, they're saying that the mentality isn't there yet, and in order for subscriptions to be more successful, they would need to shift. Well, two things on that. One, in a vacuum, yeah, that would be correct. But in our current state, where they're so aggressive on taking away ownership as it is, that may as well be code for saying, yeah, we need to get people to stop owning their games. But fine, we don't even need to go there. At face value, let's say they meant that 100% like above board and they didn't have a nefarious intention. Well, then they're still lying. And that's what I pointed out in the video, because they're saying, oh, you don't lose your games. You don't lose your progress, your access. Well, they're doing that literally as they're shutting down the crew. So that is a bold-faced lie. So even if you are taking the most generous interpretation of that, they're still lying straight to your face. So, I mean, like, I kind of wanted to clear that up, because, yeah, okay, somebody's saying that in the chat. That's actually another sort of pet peeve of mine. Like, they're saying, if there's no ownership, then piracy isn't theft. Aha, fine. Where's piracy of the crew? It's nowhere. If you guys keep repeating that line like it's, like this is a checkmate argument. Whereas if we're seeing more and more things shift to games as a service, well, then that largely eliminates piracy. So I wouldn't take too much pride in that. I mean, that's the thing. Pretty much every game I'm concerned about hasn't been pirated. Yeah, so like Destiny 2 or The Secret World, or as mentioned, like Path of Exile, or like lots of MMOs. So, I mean, I get it. It's just that, piracy has us covered for some things, although maybe not even then, because I've heard for some newer de novo encryption schemes, they're having a lot of trouble hacking that. So it could be, hey, maybe in the future, the encryption gets that good. Like the DRM is that good that piracy starts becoming a thing of the past for any major game just because it's uncrackable. It's not impossible. So, I mean, going this route is pretty much the only way to attempt to have a solution to this. So, okay, let me look at some of the questions. Oh yeah, somebody's saying, I feel like this logic applies so much to streaming services and movies, TV shows. Well, so that's an example where either piracy or just individual backups can have you covered, because, I mean, it's a hassle, but, if you can see it on the screen and that's the whole thing, you can record that and back it up. So, I mean, yeah, it can be a real hassle, but, so I'm less worried about legal options for that, though if lumping games into a lawsuit like that gets us to the finish line, then sure. I mean, it's the same concept. It's just less risk, in my opinion. But yeah, but that's only for tech savvy people too. If you just bought it expecting to use it and then you can't, yeah, you are getting robbed. So, do you know that brand car licensing expiring has to do with the shutdown? Project Cars 1 and 2 got delisted because of that. Doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. Like, look at something like Project Cars and like Forza Horizon 3. Those got delisted, and I think that sucks and it's still stupid, but the people who bought them can play them. You know, so we're not just pulling the plug 100% on everyone. Yeah, that's something I think is stupid, but that's a whole separate issue. The licensing, the licensing issues of the cars and the music does not prevent the company from releasing a patch so that people who did buy the game can continue running it without the support. So, because that basically washes their hands of the matter that they're not selling the copies anymore. So yeah, that's not a valid excuse for what they're doing under any scenario, really. You said that most gamers know the game's shut down in the video, but what about when grandma buys you the crew because it's on sale? I think that's an important point. It is, though. I feel like that's more lawyer territory to figure out how to explain that. But oops, check up, pause. Sorry. Let's see. Yeah, somebody's saying the Warcraft 3 situation still pisses them off. They haven't gotten their $30 back. Yeah, that's true. I guess you can't do multiplayer on Warcraft 3 original now, can you? Though I mean, that's valid. However, well, again, that's a murkier one because you can still play original Warcraft 3 single player. I think you can still even do LAN play on Warcraft 3 original. And they have the remake. Though strictly speaking, that's not a replacement, and they're charging money for it, so there's no compensation. So, I mean, that's actionable, but look, it's going to be hard enough explaining any of this to a judge. We don't want to have to explain the difference between single player and multiplayer. The crew is going to be unplayable under any game form. So it's like there's not much to understand there, you know. So that's why I say it's really one of the best scenarios for this. I mean, there is an argument for Overwatch, but since Overwatch 2 is free, it's like, well, I don't know. It's a little murkier, I think. But this is like, I can't see, like they're taking away what you bought, and you're left with nothing. That's the short and long of it. Okay, so I guess I wasn't seeing that many questions. Yeah, okay, so for anyone watching this, I'm going to go to the regular questions I get. So this is not going to be related to me trying to stop games being destroyed. These are just, again, I would love to not even be doing this in the first place. And so the rest of this is what I would normally be doing. So if there are any latecomers, I will answer questions at the end too. Okay. You can't say that gamers know the game's shut down, so they accepted it. No, I didn't say they accepted it. I just say they understand the problem, you know, and there's no deception. No, I'm not saying there's no deception. The deception is they're being sold a perpetual license. And that license, and then the company's rendering that license non-perpetual. And I heard somebody saying if they were Ubisoft's lawyers, they would argue that I'm trying to fight the reality of the situation and, you know, customers knew it was online only. Well, the thing is, I think that's a misnomer, and they're trying to use us as an excuse to take away ownership. Because, Epic shut down Unreal Tournament 2003 and 4, was it last year or something like that? You can still play all those games. That was a multiplayer-focused game. You can still play those games online. They've dropped support. You can't even buy it from them now. It's still playable because it was made to be that way. And another one, you know, Mojang with Scrolls. That was an online-only game. They shut it down. They patched it so that you can run that without their support anymore. So we have examples where this is doable, and the company shows due diligence of, you know, giving compensation to the people who bought the game for removing the game, which the ideal method is to, you know, let them continue playing the game without the company's support. So, Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's no, the deception is they're selling you a perpetual license. And so, and the other deception is they're not telling you how long this is. You know, when you buy the game, it just says we can shut down anytime. Well, what the hell does that mean? You know, I mean, if the game straight up said on the cover, good till 2024, that might still be a violation of law, but that will make it more difficult. Here, they're just saying, no, maybe we'll keep it on, maybe we won't. I mean, that's not how you really run businesses for most things, you know, especially especially billion-dollar corporations selling millions of a product that, you know, had millions of dollars invested into it and marketed. I mean that's like I'm not even sure you have like a real world equivalent of that. So let's see. Someone suggested going away from using the term game and using product instead. The game is unplayable. It's trying to say the product is made unusable. Yeah, you're right. But that'll be the lawyer's job, I guess. But if we get that far. But yeah, I guess I should use that more for future videos. Let's see. Do you think the video and the topic need more exposure? This video went to many places, but this time around, it seems people are sleeping on it. Oh no, I got overwhelmed with the exposure as it is. We want more exposure once we have plans laid out. So by April, I can't say exactly when I'll have that, but I guess, you know, either very early April or probably late March. So yeah, but then I'll go for all the exposure I can get. And I'll make it more clickbaity, way to the point, you know, and just, I'll just try to think of how to get it more impact. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, more exposure won't hurt, but I'm not like going out of my way to seek more of that right now. So let's see. Somebody's worried about their favorite game getting shut down. Is your Ubisoft lawsuit the best shot to prevent games from shutting down regardless of the publisher? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going all in on this. Like, if I can't, again, my goal is to literally do everything I can to try to stop this, which is mostly coordinating a whole bunch of people and research and, you know, making videos on it to try to just kind of direct the current to the right places so we can get this to consumer rights agencies where people who know what they're doing can take action. Like, if I can't get anything done in this, then I'm probably going to I'm almost certainly going to give up going through legal channels to try and get anything done. And it will just be me focused on like AI extrapolation-based preservation. So this is pretty much like all in for me, because honestly, there might be as good an opportunity in the future. You know, I mentioned some games like Destiny, Titanfall, or you know, or The Division, other big titles. But the crew is going to be about as big as it gets with this sort of thing. So it checks all the boxes. It's the planets are kind of aligned for me to take action on this. So 2024 is me just going all in on this, and whatever happens, happens. So, but my goal is to have no regrets. So, I mean, if I did everything I could and it's not enough, well, then that's not enough. It's not on me anymore. So that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, and I say me, obviously it's dependent on other people too. And, you know, people can always step up. I don't own this movement or anything like that. You know, if somebody really gets, if somebody bigger gets, well, yeah, somebody's mentioning like Linus Tech Tips. If he wants to pick up the baton on that, sure, you know. I'll back any effort that, if it goes well, the end conclusion is GameStop being destroyed. Now, I am kind of wary. Sometimes there's efforts where even if it's successful, it still doesn't save games. Like, that's how I felt about the DMCA exemption, where what? Where, like, let's say the DMCA got full exemption for this, so that when a game company shuts the game down, you are 100% in your rights to reverse engineer it and make a server emulator and everything. Well, fine, the game's still encrypted. That's not going to work for what, 98% of them? I mean, just the very few that we get lucky on. The problem's still going to continue. So that doesn't solve it. So I'm not going to give any attention to efforts where the end goal isn't to stop games from being destroyed. But if it does include that, even if it's kind of a long shot, I will back anything like that. So, and again, I'm not against them getting the DMCA exemption. It's just that that's not worth my time, especially what they're really asking for is legality for what pirates and abandonware people are already doing. And I just care more about the end result rather than like if we're crossing all the T's and dotting the I's. So let's see. Any hope of getting the Video Game History Foundation involved? I'll add that to the list. Look up. Oh, shoot. I forgot to give the dead ends. See, again, you're going to get like this awkward, haphazard, stumbling approach from me. So I'm warning you, but I mean, I'll keep at it. Okay, so the dead ends that some people suggested, or I think they're dead ends. One was saying the Free Software Foundation. I'm all for open source software, but the thing is, even if we win, the crew is still closed source. So it's like, we're having enough trouble not getting them to just destroy it, let alone trying to open source it. So that's just a bridge too far for me. And I think, I think it'll be a waste of both of our time to try to go through them. I mean, I could be wrong in this stuff. Another one was FUTO, Development of Software Alternatives. I mean, again, I think that's a worthwhile effort, but that's not going to help for games because games are essentially creative monopolies. You know, there's not a substitute for The Crew or Destiny 2. There can be games in the same genre, but they're unique works. So developing an alternative doesn't really work for this sort of thing. Someone mentioned the Chaos Computer Club in Germany. That sounds like it's a hacker organization. I mean, I guess that might help with cracking the game, but again, I'm not trying to speed up the process on that. And I don't know if that would really help with like legal efforts at all. So, and someone also mentioned the Institute for Justice. And I'm not saying no 100% to this one, but this sounds like it's to help people bring about lawsuits that are, for people who can't afford attorneys. So, that sounds like that could cover a lot of like really serious real world issues, like people getting evicted or maybe like a company poisoning the water supply or, workplace abuse or stuff like that. And if that is what they do, then I really don't feel great about siphoning resources away from something like that. Because as much as I care about games, I do have a clue. I do have some perspective as to like what takes priority. Whereas if we're talking about something like digital rights, then sure, that's well within the realm of the sort of things they cover. I'm much more comfortable with that. But yeah, I don't want to. If it's the difference between getting a lawsuit on The Crew versus, suing DuPont over poisoning the water, then yeah, I don't want to be part of the problem there. So, okay, somebody's saying, oh yeah, a link for preservation efforts. Well, maybe because, I'll copy the link and look at it later. Because preservation stuff, they're usually focused on games that can be preserved. No one can preserve The Crew in its current state, even if they want to and have a lot of money. So that's what? Again, I'm all for them doing their thing. It's just that, like, for me personally, I kind of don't care if it's like a game has been officially preserved versus if it's just floating around on an abandonware site somewhere, because the game's still there. It's not dead. But it's just when literally everyone who owned it and wants to play it can never play it again. That's next level for me. So, all right. Okay, they're saying the Institute for Justice is a libertarian legal org that takes cases that may be interesting for public exposure. Well, this would be interesting for public exposure. However, if it's a libertarian one, they might side with Ubisoft. That, hey, you engage in this contract, you should be free, they should be free to do whatever they want. I mean, what do you mean? You don't have consumer rights. You agreed there in the terms of service, you know? So that might even be more of a dead end. Again, I don't know. I haven't had time to look at them yet. Anyway, I am looking through all the emails, even though I'm behind 30 or 40 or so. And I've replied to, I think, at least over 50 so far, but I'm trying to stay on top of it. Okay. I really don't like dealing with all this law crap, but my motivation besides trying to stop this is I feel like, okay, this is it. This is my shot to really do this. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to be done with it one way or the other, I hope. So, okay, they're saying they mostly handle lawsuits against the government itself. Most suits aren't against corporations. Yeah, that would line up with that. So this isn't, well, I mean, the problem, yeah, there's plenty of room for representation against government abuse. So this is kind of the opposite, where the government's not enforcing anything. So I was saying, I bet you're glad you got your degree in criminal justice. Not really. It doesn't apply. This is civil stuff for the most part. Or if it is criminal, it's like white collar criminal, which wasn't really covered. That was more about, like, you know, conditions you can enter someone's property. You know, what's probable cause. It's much more cop stuff. So it actually not nearly the crossover you'd hope for. All right, so I'm moving off the crew. If people really want a discussion on this further at some point in the future, that's fine. I can do that. Or if you want me to talk about this on another channel or whatever, or come into my channel and talk about it, that's an option. As long as I think we're making at least some progress or some exposure, you know. Okay. So yeah, again, right now we're still in the brainstorming phase. So I'm not taking direct action yet. Right now I'm just amassing all the information and gonna figure out what makes the most sense to me. You're still welcome to give input. You know, so yeah, okay, so now I'm just gonna move on to just the regular chat here. So if you were tuning in for the crew stuff, you can leave if you want to, or whatever. So this is gonna be what it would be like if I wasn't doing all this crap. Yeah, again, well, I'm still gonna work on the side videos in the next game dungeon. That's what I was working on before this. Oh, and actually, yeah, I learned about this crew stuff while I was in the middle of the State of Mind game dungeon. I knew there was no way I could cover this and get that out in time for Christmas. So I'm just like, this is just gonna have to wait. Like, I mean, so it did. I was a month late, but I'm kind of glad I was, because I was able to say more. So, oh yeah, I meant to I'll probably put this again on Twitter later. Months back, for civil protection, I did an April Fool's episode where somebody animated it. I'm still in touch with that animator, and he wanted me to come on to his stream for a channel he's running to do a session of Quake 2 with his friends. So we did that a few months back, and he cut it, and it's out on a series now. His channel name is Funny Mayhem, except Mayhem's misspelled. I forget how he spells it, but I'll give a link to that in the description if you want to take a look at it, and I'll put it on the channel and let's see, and Twitter and stuff. Oh yeah, and then now for the abuse of power part of the episode, where I just kind of using my fan base to try and get more information or help. I've completed the first phase of my wallpaper quest, where I just collected all the wallpapers I liked from DeviantArt and other places that I could find. It's come down like over 2,000 of them. Now I need to upscale them for widescreen. So there's multiple options for that now. If anyone has recommendations on what the best AI image scaler is for outpainting, let me know if you have your opinion on that. Again, my email is rosswscott@gmail.com. Outpainting is when you're basically adding stuff that's not there. So, when, like if you had like a 4:3 image and you stretched it to and you expanded it to widescreen, well, normally there'd be nothing there because there's no data. Well, the AI fills in the data. So if you have recommendations on what I would use for that, let me know. And the last thing is, my wife's been trying to have this, we've been trying to get like this kind of, she has a bad habit of like staying up and reading on her phone. So we're trying to get like lockout software so that like past a certain time, the phone just cuts off or disconnects you from the internet or something. And we found several options. We tried like 3 or 4, and they all either have like a bunch of ads or you need to pay for them, which I'm all right with doing. But the thing is, they just kept draining her battery real fast. I'm thinking, well, that's not good, So if anybody has recommendations on, this is for Android. If you have recommendations on just lockout software, if it's paid, that's all right. Just I want to know that it's good and it's not going to just drain her phone battery like it's nothing. So like if you wanted to put like from midnight to 8 in the morning, the phone you can't browse the internet on it, something like that. So if anybody has recommendations on that too, that's the other thing. Okay, so now I'll answer the submitted questions, and I might have to sneeze. Yeah, excuse me. Okay, well, this is who you're getting for this crew effort here. Does playing through a game for Russ's Game Dungeon make the game more enjoyable or more tedious? It kind of makes it a little more tedious because I have to go over it many more times. And plus, there's often some time pressure with it where if I was just playing it, I would have finished the game and have moved on by that point. But since I'm making it, I have to go over it a lot more, or I have to speed up a little bit because I have to make it in time. Anytime I have to speed up, that always reduces my enjoyment of the game. But yeah, it's more fun to just play the game. So let's see. You covered The Last Stand in a past Game Dungeon episode, and they're mentioning how the games are on Steam now. Yeah, and they're mentioning the 5th game. I forget the name of it. I actually have a copy of it. Have you played it? Have you heard of it played before? I played a little bit of it. The performance was through the floor when I played the new one. I forgot the name of it. But yeah, it's like The Last Stand something. It's in full 3D, but man, that is not an optimized game. So that's one I might need to upgrade before I finally go through it. So somebody's saying remember to sort it by top. Well, too late. It's by best. I'll just go through it. The crew we've already covered, so I can skip that question. What video game do you think allows you to be the most creative? Not necessarily the game with the least rules, constraints, but one where you're often impressed by what people come up with. Yeah, in the chat, somebody says Minecraft. I have seen impressive things from Minecraft. For ones I've been impressed that people come up with. Natural one that comes to mind is Dwarf Fortress. I've read good stories from Dwarf Fortress. In fact, I should maybe try and seek out more. A lot of MMOs like EVE Online. I like these elaborate tales of like espionage or just these over the top grudges. I guess RuneScape has some of those too. World of Warcraft can have some. You know, the social dynamics like escalated to another level. Let's see. Oh, Google put something called digital well-being in the default software on the phone. Yeah, like a parental lock thing might work too if you can do it by time. Okay, I'll look into that. Digital well-being. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, other creative games. I was trying to remember some. Oh yeah, Doom. In the sense that it seems like there's this ongoing kind of showboating to have Doom be installed on every device in existence. Like somebody, you know, they put it on printers, you know, kiosks, kiosk displays. I think somebody even did something on like a cell, like they had like an organic computer of sorts that they got Doom on it. Oh yeah, somebody put it. Oh yeah, no, this is downstairs. Someone put it on like a portable like Sansa Clip Plus MP3 player, and that's like a real tiny. That's what I use to listen to MP3s when I'm out, and that's like this real tiny screen. You know, 2 colors. I mean, it's yeah. Somebody says pregnancy test. It's like it never ends. You know where what people are trying to put Doom on. So, and on sort of a different dimension, I only it's kind of like the Sonic community. I don't know a lot about it, but I am aware of its existence with Mario 64, where there's some serious diehards for that game where they're trying to one-up each other on like how they play it. Like, you know, play Mario with like the minimum number of jumps or beat Mario only using like a steering wheel or something. I don't know. They're finding like all these like weird kind of like stunt. Yeah, somebody's giving a reference to Half Press video. I'll give a link to that. Yeah, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, this is a video worth watching. If you want to see like how deep at least some of the Mario 64 rabbit hole goes. Yeah, half presses. So yeah, those can be interesting for the creativity. I'm trying to think of what are some other ones that, you know, I'm constantly surprised what they're doing. Oh, well, okay, this kind of, okay, well, I'll get this another question. It's, trying to move faster through them since I spent so much on the crew. What video? Oh yeah, I already read that. Okay, so yeah, I gave some examples there. Someone said they've been on a kick researching the applied psychology behind gambling games and gotcha. Things like the makers of Virtual Slot Machine know that a near win releases as much or more dopamine as an actual win, so they invest in fancy animation for near wins. Let's see, and there's this. I'm skimming through the question a bit, but yeah, they're asking. You basically like the science of how to make a game as addictive as possible. It sounds like. Where would you define the ethical line between creating an engaging product and manipulation? Well, it's. I mean, once it starts involving real money as part of the manipulation, I think that's a pretty clear line you're crossing, where You know, because if it's just super addictive, but you just buy it once and that's it, there aren't a bunch of like micropayments to go with that, then I mean, then you're just making a really addictive game. And believe it or not, I'm someone who has a lot of resistance to that sort of thing. So it's rare, and I like it when I actually am hooked on a game. To me, it's like, oh, we have one of these, awesome. Like we're like when I'm out doing something or if I'm working, I'm thinking about, man, I want to get back to playing that game. Uh, oh yeah, actually, this happens frequently here. There's a Penny Arcade comic I remember on that. I'll link to where they consult Satan on how to make World of Warcraft more addictive. That was a good comic. Uh, but as for the ethical line, I mean, I kind of want companies to be able to do what they want with this. However, I'm also fine with what any and all warnings and conditions for buying them. So it's like if it's using all these tactics, then you can't sell it to minors or something. And like I'm fine with that. Or just slap a gambling warning on there that like warning product contains gameplay similar to gambling. You know, so you can somebody wrote 99% of gamblers quit before hitting jackpot. Yeah, I mean, but I guess the other thing is if it's involving like the really addictive, I mean, not the really gambling-esque aspects of it, I'm fine if the country wants to ban those games because, I mean, I'm saying this from a somewhat selfish perspective is, to me, that's not why I play games, and I tend to not care or gloss over games that are doing like, oh, you can earn all this money by playing at this. Like, I'm just like, I don't care about this crap. I want to play a game because you know, feel like I'm running a war campaign on another planet or something, or you know, exploring the forbidden land in this fantasy universe or stuff like that, or just it's a really fun gameplay loop. But like anytime it starts requiring money on top of that, that just wakes me up like nothing else. Like, oh, okay, I'm not lost in the game or the gameplay now. This is just some shakedown. So I'm just like, okay, I don't care about this crap. Or if I'm really curious, then I'll just go on YouTube and look at somebody who did go down that rabbit hole and just browse through to see what I'm missing. And that's it. I'm done with that game. On to the next one. So I'm probably not the best person to like, you know, make a final judgment on that. Whereas if it's addictive, I will say though, if it's addictive, but it doesn't involve like extra monetary things, they're just trying to make a really addictive game. I think I think people should absolutely be able to make that. But again, I'm fine with warnings if it's a little too addictive. If anything, that might help their marketing. You know, it's just like, warning, this game is considered very addictive by many people. So, you know. Yeah, I think I heard China recently said either they banned or they're going to ban games that have stuff that goes above and beyond like normal gameplay. Like the examples they were giving are like daily events and like an MMO where, yes, I was talking about fear of missing out, where if you're not logging in every day, you are missing out on something in the game, like a gameplay advantage or just an event you won't see again. Yeah, I don't like that crap either. So I'm fine if they want to ban that because I like playing games at my own pace. You know, if I mean, I think you can make an exception if it's like a holiday thing where it's going to be up for several weeks, you know, but I don't like the game rushing me if I want to do stuff, you know. And I mean, they can rush me in the gameplay, but you know, they don't. I don't like them rushing me for when I play it, you know. So let's see. Oh, so someone trying to do a 180 on that. Somebody's saying, okay, yeah, I guess I'm behind on the news then. Where, if anywhere, do ads fit into that for you? I mean, I don't like them if they're not. Well, okay. The only place I don't mind them is if they're done pretty organically. Like if it's like a driving game and it's like a billboard ad or something, then I'm all right with that. I mean, it does feel pretty cheap when it's a game you pay, full price for, and then there are ads in it on top of that. But I'm fine if those get banned also. But yeah, because I mean that cheapens the game unless it's really organically done, which I'm not sure I've ever seen it really organically done, because even when they have ads, they usually overdo it. Whereas in the real world, yeah, you'll have ads for one product here and there, then you have ads for another one, then another one. Whereas if it's like a real sponsorship ad, then they just blast it all over the place. Like the Red Bull in Steep, or like the Singular ad in Need for Speed Most Wanted. So that kind of loses the immersion. But they said to be clear in the addictive game pretense. I don't think people are too addicted to ads, so I don't think that's a problem. Yeah, someone's saying Factorio is one of the most addictive games ever. Well, see, I for some, I tried Factorio for like 20 minutes, but wasn't really getting into it. But I think, well, maybe I need to give it more time. Like how some games you can like immediately tell it's not for you, and then other games you're not sure. It's like, well, maybe if I get farther into it, I'll start liking it. Factorio is like that for me, so maybe I'll give it another shot. But it wasn't grabbing me immediately. But I know I have heard many people get addicted to that one. So okay, but let's see. Are you excited at all about the new Polish government? The YouTube channel of the Polish parliament broke 4 million views twice during live streams, 1 million multiple live stream videos around at the time. And the transition and engagement seems massive compared to before. I don't know a lot of details, but my wife has been following that much more. She's been excited about it. There's some stuff that's coming up. Apparently there was like a lot of corruption that was going on with the old regime. They were, let's see, there's an anti-corruption bureau, and I think she was saying like just dozens of people exited as soon as that happened because the anti-corruption bureau was corrupt, apparently, and maybe now it's looking at being dissolved. Another thing I heard is apparently they were selling like tons of visas to illegal immigrants. Like I think the estimate I heard was like 340,000 or something like that. Though I admit I'm a little sympathetic to that because of just how much crap I had to go through to immigrate to Poland myself. I did not buy a visa to stay in Poland. I had to do it through official channels. So, yeah, those are. But yeah, apparently there's like all sorts of agencies that are corrupt. That it's almost like kind of overwhelming. I'm just relaying what I've heard from her. So, but yeah, the 300,000 selling 340,000 vehicles to illegal immigrants. That's a lot. So, but yeah, from what I've heard, it sounds like the sort of thing where if you did it right, you could maybe turn this into like a comedy movie about it. Show just the like how over the top it might be. So, but again, I don't know a lot of the details on that. The beginning of this year saw 2 high-profile YouTube retirements, giving people a reminder that online creators whose work they enjoy aren't going to be around forever. Have you ever given thought to what a Curse Farm's retirement would look like? What would you consider being the ideal way to bring an end to your online career? Well, the thought I have, it's almost like a siren's call. So I really try not to really try not to think this way too much. But I've heard that John Carpenter just got kind of too tired of making movies because it was too much work, and now he's just spending a bunch of time playing video games. So I admit that thought has like crossed my mind. Not that I can afford to do that. So don't worry, I'm not retiring anytime soon. Just like I don't have a choice on that. But I am not at that YouTube bracket at all. Uh, but I mean, I think what the thing is, I still would want to. What I found is, once I've had time to sort of refresh, I actually do want to do like more creative videos again. What I think I would want to retire from are deadlines or a regular release schedule, even less than what my broken pattern already is. So, you know, I wouldn't exactly be retiring. It's just that it would go like 100% at my own pace. And it hasn't been like that for a long time. So, what? I would keep making, I think I would probably keep making videos unless I was just totally exhausted. That's the other thing is I kind of have to, like not to get too much into personal issues, but I'll just say I do have to do a lot around the house to kind of keep us together. So it's, I'm doing a lot that's unfortunately not related to the videos also, just to sort of stay afloat. So it's just, I, I, I do like having breaks when I can, but if it's like a constant voice saying that's a bad idea if you do that, Ross. Like, and it's generally usually correct about that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I think I would still do some creative stuff. But yeah, let's say it was just officially retired and couldn't, and there's like I have no audience to even make the videos for. I mean, I'm not someone who gets bored really. I find my own stuff projects to do. Like again with like this wallpaper quest I'm doing, or sorting my music, or going into more VR worlds, or getting games working in VR, that sort of thing, or you know what I do in Game Dungeon. I was doing that on my own before I ever made Game Dungeon. It's just I wasn't writing up a script about it. I was just like, oh yeah, that game. I never got around to playing it. Let me play that old game and see what it was really about. I mean, I was doing that organically, so I'm certain I would keep doing that. But yeah, kind of scratching off my Ross's housework dungeon. Yes, unfortunately. Uh, but what? I lost my train of thought. Yeah, oh yeah, with games. I mean, I have a pretty sizable backlog. I have a lot of tricks to try to get through it, you know, where I'm only playing the stuff that's really engaging me, and the other stuff, if I'm interested in it but not interested enough to play through it, I just go and then I look at a walkthrough of it, a playthrough of it. And even then I skip the chunks that are just very repetitive and like aren't kind of advancing the story or the gameplay or something. Like I went through a couple recently. I forget. I've been slowly watching some of the Final Fantasy games that I know I'm not going to play these, but I am kind of curious about the story or like the atmosphere, that sort of thing. One I've been watching a bit at the moment is a playthrough of Parasite Eve. That's one where the gameplay never grabbed me, but I was kind of curious about it. So now I'm kind of going through a playthrough of it. But yeah, even then, there's a lot of games I do want to play straight up. So it's, man, what was the one actually, I bet I can. Oh yeah, I'm keeping a list of, I actually do have notes on this because I'm keeping a list of games that I've basically played where I haven't really played them, but oh yeah, I skimmed through Only Up, Trials of Fire, the game Black, Synthetic Legion Rising, Vulture 2017, Gunlocked, Cryptarch, Metal Swarm Infinity, The Outer Wilds. That was one I played some of, but then the game wasn't quite digging the gameplay. But I went through and got the full story. So yeah, there's like a list of games that, yeah, I'm not gonna play these, but I want to get the gist of them, you know. So Rust Let's Play would be wild and so entertaining. I don't know if it, I mean, well, you can see the examples on Accursed Farms junk, but I don't think. I'm sure I'm better than some streamers, but I don't think I'm top stream talent. I mean, there are people who are just have a natural gift for improv, and or just their reactions are just so engaged that, you know, they're like, well, again, I was thinking of like Quinn69 and that clip I used where when his screen went black, you know, because I think he hit the Windows key while he was playing and ripped him out of the game. Like when the screen goes black, you kind of see him like just kind of twitch backwards from the shock of it. And I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, that's stuff like that, I think makes a pretty high quality streamer, you know. They just have a natural affinity for it, or natural talent. But yeah, and the other thing is, or I mean, retirement for me is decades off. So I mean, assuming I can even afford it, and I'm not just working on stuff till I fall over. The other thing is, who knows what's gonna happen with like the kind of global system by then? I mean, you know, I could see this being a way. I could see it being a joke trying to predict what you're going to be doing in your retirement. What maybe the reality is closer to something like I really am on some compound of a intentional community just growing food, you know, because the groceries became a thing of the past. You know, I don't know. I think we're going to see a lot of changes, but before I'm at retirement age. So. Yeah, some of the best streamers are not based on game skill, but interaction with the audience. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's. I mean, there's some streamers who are just have a lot of skill at the game, but there's other people who are they're just genuinely entertaining to watch. So that's what I mean. So again, I know, just like I could probably count the streamers I know on one or two hands. You know, I mean, not know personally, but just even know of. I generally don't watch that, but it's. From what I have seen, there's definitely a difference. You know. Okay. Well, that's the other thing is if I'm getting older and older, it could be nobody wants to hear some just weird old man talking about stuff. And in that case, I might try to do this anyway. I would try to kind of transition more to directing rather than like writing and speaking. So it would be more stuff like civil protection or the kind of machinima type videos where I can get somebody voicing it who people do want to hear, you know, or hear their performance, that sort of thing. But okay, more questions. Oh yeah, this was the one I was putting off earlier. Have you heard about the new Unreal Engine VR injection thingy? Yeah, it's basically Vorpex on steroids and enables all Unreal Engine games to be played in VR, including first-person view and motion tracking. I'm not sure if it's all Unreal Engine games or if it's like only 4 and 5. I forget. It might be all of them. But yeah, I heard about that several months back. I'm going to have to look into it. One of the comments, when we were talking about creativity earlier, I saw was this basically turns the Ascent into a first-person shooter. I'm thinking, oh, wow, I'm really going to have to try that because the Ascent is like an isometric view game, but it looked really impressive from the screenshots I saw. So that one could be awesome to try first-person view. Yeah, I kind of feel that way actually about Grim Dawn, where I'd love to see that at like ground level view. But yeah, no, it's awesome. It's gonna add a lot of options for VR. Yeah, see, people talk about killer apps for VR. That's your killer app, stuff like that. Where, okay, we're opening up, just maybe hundreds of games to VR, and these are, full professionally produced games. Now, obviously, many games are going to be a poor fit for VR because I think, like they were mentioning, like Ghost Runner And Ghost Runner looks amazing and great environment, but man, that's a game that's all about really fast motion. I think that would have people puking pretty fast. So, yeah, somebody's saying, yeah, DX U24. Yeah, that's gotten me to postpone my plans to play Deus Ex in VR because I was going to do it using VorpX, but now there's a modder who's basically adapting it for VR, and he's updating the lighting and stuff. And his examples were like there were prototypes, and I felt like with the lighting, some stuff looked better, some stuff looked kind of worse. But this is like real early prototype stuff, so it could just be some of this is proof of concept, and then the final version will look great. Yeah, VR Bioshock, there's already a full mod for that. Yeah, especially Bioshock Infinite. That would be a great one to check out in VR. But I mean, I'd say most first-person shooters in VR, just for me at least, they're gonna have a wow factor in and of themselves. Oh yeah, they got I think they got a test with VR working in Unreal, and I was noticing just looking at the video on YouTube that like the sun was in one eye and wasn't in another. So yeah, these kinks are gonna have to work out. But so I'm saying Postal 2 in VR would be amazing. Well, Postal is Unreal. I think it's Unreal 2 or 2.5, I think. Postal 2. So I say they love Metroid Prime in VR. That probably exists right now, at least in stereoscopic. Yeah, this varies on people, which is already a niche audience. But for me, having just stereoscopic 3D on a big screen in front of you in VR is about 90% as good as like full VR. Now, some people really want that last mile. And the other thing is that can sometimes be more advantageous for me because I found I got less sick when it was 90% VR versus 100%. So, because I remember when I was playing the GZ Doom VR, you know, you can play Doom engine games. I played some of Strife and Hexen on it. I was kind of getting sick after about 20 minutes at a shot, you know, so. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Yeah, that's another thing I'd be spending free time on, so. I probably won't be rushing to all the high-end games in VR because, you know, in VR, you're losing some optimizations because you need to render it eye by eye on either side. So it could be those cripple your frame rate. But that's why I'm particularly interested in older games right now and kind of want to slowly work my way up. So by the time I get to the really good looking stuff, maybe the speed will be more than enough. So. Are you playing something right now but don't plan on making a video on that game? Yeah, I'm playing, what is it, Days Gone. I don't have plans for a video on it, but that's one I got for free from GOG. And I'm like, it's all right. I think it's good if I keep moving with it. If it's this, I think it's the sort of game where if I'm spending way too much time on every little thing, then it'll feel tedious. But as long as I just keep moving with go here, go there, then I'm playing some other stuff actually off and on. Yeah, Cloudpunk. I've been enjoying that. I'm definitely gonna. That not only is that one I'm gonna want to play in VR, but that's one 100%. I'll play it through to completion and probably find all the missing messages. That one's a feast visually. What's another one? Greedfall. Greedfall is one where I think I have to be in the right mood for. I was finding the gameplay a little tedious, but I do like the aesthetic of it, and the storyline's interesting enough. So, like, I think what I'm gonna have to do, yeah, Greedfall I lowered the difficulty on because I just wasn't really getting into the combat, but I'm intrigued, but at the same time, I have to be in the right mood to play it. So, I love the setting though, like the, you know, fantasy, colonial, you know, Victorian era times, that sort of thing. So, Somebody's saying Greedfall is a 10 out of 10, 7 out of 10. Sure. But let's see, there's something else. I've been kind of going through these like for weeks at a time. I just still haven't finished them. Here, let me open one of my launchers. Let me see. I feel like there was something else I was kind of dabbling in. Oh, I played through Skyforce. Well, Greedfall I might give a game dungeon on. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I played through Skyforce Reloaded and Skyforce Anniversary Edition. Those are both pretty good break games. So, but yeah, I'm trying not to take on too many games at once. But sometimes I try to, like, both I think Cloudpunk and Greedfall. For some, those are both ones I for my birthday, I intentionally went out of my way to play some more games I've been looking forward to. And yeah, Skyforce Anniversary had a lot of grinding. It does, but as a break game, you know, you don't feel the grind so much if you're just playing it for like 20 minutes at a time. So, but yeah, it does have grinding in it. But the grinding can be fun if you're just doing some of it a bit at a time. You know, if you're just going in like, no, I'm gonna beat this game, then yeah, it's probably not too fun. So I was saying, ever play Fez? I haven't played Fez, and that might be the one game I kind of don't want to. I mean, maybe I'll look at it eventually. That it just went to like the bottom of my list. That might be the one game I don't want to touch because I have negative associations with the developer. Like I think it was Phil Fish. They had all these quotes that just make him sound like such a prick. I was just like, man, I don't really want to get involved with it. Normally I can detach myself from that sort of thing, but I guess I just read too much on him. So, yeah, it made me not want to play Fez. So, I mean there's like, but like this, I don't even want to repeat some of the quotes here because that might flag the YouTube algorithm for if I was to quote him word for word that like, okay, you can't monetize this video anymore, or or this is gonna hurt your algorithm if you're saying what Phil Fish said. So that's I'm sure you can look it up. I'm sure there's plenty of quotes from him if you're curious about that. Let's see. And the thing is, maybe some people can say things that are really cutting, but then later they're like, sorry guys, I was just really, aggravated or a little drunk or something. I'm much cooler about that if it's just like heat of the moment thing for the person. I don't really have much of a grudge and that sort of thing. But if it just seems like, no, this is your core personality, then it's like, I'd rather just avoid those kinds of people. So, let's see. Okay. Have you heard of Pacific Drive? Yes, because it's on my games list on the website. For those that don't know, ever since I did the Ross's Big Games List video that explains it, I periodically update that with games that have kind of grabbed my interest. I don't know if they're going to be good, but they got their foot in the door with me. That I'm intrigued and I want to try this out to some capacity. And I'm behind on that. I probably have a list of like 50 I need to add to that. So, I usually update it every couple months. But are there any movies you've watched that are gut wrenching, or the kind of movies that you wouldn't recommend if you want to relax, but are otherwise powerful and cinematically great, or deserve more recognition? There probably are plenty, but I try not to watch too many of those because those aren't my kind of thing. Ones that come to mind are Requiem for a Dream. That one's a rough one to watch, but it's very well done. And I think I mentioned it before. One that just was gut wrenching for me was The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith, about this salesman. I think it's based on a true story about this salesman just trying, a single parent father just trying to make it financially, and he's just like on a razor's edge for his margins of being able to just not be homeless. Like that one, let's see, that one just, I guess they hit too close to home. Even though I wouldn't want to be in sales, but just the knowing that if you make one mistake, you are screwed with your life. Yeah, someone recommending someone in the chat. Grave of the Fireflies. I've heard of that one. I haven't seen it. Once Were Warriors. Lake Mungo. I thought Lake Mungo was a horror, but maybe it's both. Silent Running. Well, Silent Running's not that bad. Okay, my memory's hazy on Silent Running, and I may have skipped through some parts, but Silent Running's pretty slow from what I remember. I wouldn't say Silent Running is like this kind of brutal. Yeah, okay, The Road. Yeah, that's one that qualifies. I mean, the Road's like just trying to go for max misery. Let's see. Yeah, Lake Mungo was so good and deeply underappreciated in the horror community. I've definitely heard of it. That's the thing I've realized as I've gotten older. I'm not actually a horror fan. I'm a terror fan. Because horror can be things that aren't necessarily scary. They just disturb you on a real deep and fundamental level. Whereas terror is just like, yeah. So I like scary movies. That's what I like. But let's see. Okay, somebody's saying The Basketball Diaries instead of Requiem for a Dream. I haven't seen that either. There's probably lots of well-done moving dramas I haven't seen and I probably won't see. I'd rather just... I can be kind of lowbrow with stuff where I want to go to more kind of escapism stuff. Like, yeah, the genres I usually watch: science fiction, adventure, sometimes fantasy, some suspense kind of thrillers, some action stuff. It depends if I like the theme or the setup. Like some crime type movies, like either like robbing a bank or just covering up a murder or something like that. Lesser extent to those, but comedy, of course, but I'm pretty picky on comedies. So if you pick a random comedy, especially the more modern it is, it's like, I don't know. Odds aren't great, but have you watched The Expanse? I have seen The Expanse. See, this person really... Okay, I have seen The Graduate, though. Let's see. Well, the Graduate's sort of like what they call the dramedy. I don't mind dramedy as long as I can skip chunks of it, and the comedy is really funny. Like one dramedy I enjoyed was Sideways, about this wine tasting that ends up it ends. I was laughing at parts of it. Let's see. Yeah, I've seen The Expanse. The Expanse is an example. It's a mix for me because, like on some stuff I find intriguing and fun, and the other stuff I find it's taking itself way too seriously for what it is. I mean, just because it has some realism doesn't mean it's realistic. Even if you assume that, like, okay, we have these really fast ship drives, like, I mean, we would, maybe explains it in the books, I don't know, but like we would need a lot more. I've heard of a term before, and I'm probably going to reuse it again, of ecologically blind. Like the resources that would be required to have stuff like in The Expanse, I don't think it works. Like, I think you would have like 9/10 of the people portrayed in that starving in The Expanse. And my brain has trouble turning that off. And I can turn that off if the movie is just kind of fun, or the show. And it has some of that, but then there's other stuff it's just taken too seriously, like with the politics. I'm just thinking, okay, well, you know, it's not Space Truckers, you know. So I did not have, I was not thinking those thoughts when I watched Space Truckers. So, but on the flip side, you have something like The Martian, where they really are trying to just, you know, sell you on this concept with the science of it. So it's like it kind of occupies that space. Okay, Treasure Planet. I think I have seen Treasure Planet. I might be mixing that up with Titan AE. I don't know. The movie I'm remember, yeah. So maybe I have, maybe I haven't. Because I think those are both space animated movies, right? From what I remember thinking the theme was pretty cool, but the dialogue was like, I don't know. I don't know which one, but I might be mixing it up with Titan AE. I think that's the other movie I'm thinking of. Opinion on the Skyline series. Yeah, the first one was pretty good. The sequels really felt like just kind of you know, kind of made for TV or B movie kind of thing. I mean, not the production value, but just like the writing and the acting. It's kind of just like, okay, yeah. The first one's pretty cool though for Skyline. Let's see. I'd say the difference isn't as well. No, I'm mixing stuff up again. I have seen The Strain. Yeah, The Strain's pretty good. Yeah, if you like Blade 2, you should absolutely watch The Strain. The Strain is like, hey, we like Blade 2. Let's just make it a TV show. Unfortunately, a lot of shows aren't gonna have like as tight flow of action or plot as you would in a movie, so they kind of draw it out, and The Strain's one like that. But it's okay. Sorry, I have to keep going back and up in the chat to see what's there. The Strain's pretty good when it's good. I'll say that. Goon was great. Yeah, well, Goons. Well, I've seen Goon. Oh no, there's yeah, Goon the movie is amazing. The sequel's awful though. I gave up on. It is rare I just straight up give up on a movie. Like I don't even skip ahead. I just give up. I gave up on the sequel. It was that bad. But the first one's amazing. Like it's probably in my top 10 comedies. I mean, okay, I haven't seen Andor yet. I haven't seen Scavenger's Reign. Okay, make a note of that. I don't think I've even heard of Scavenger's Reign. Great. But yeah, adventure stuff I like too. They're saying they were disappointed by Ad Astra. Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't amazing. So I'm saying the prologue is played in single player offload mode. It must be completed to go to the online mode. I'm not certain about that. Like, can you really start playing the prologue completely offline? I doubt you can. I mean, just ammunition for the argument that offline gameplay isn't available. No, that's best I can tell. How easy it is to do or not is probably going to be irrelevant from a legal standpoint, because it's not about how easy it is to do. Because like, oh, we sold you the game, but oh, you know what? It's hard to give you offline, so we're just going to keep all your money. That doesn't excuse it either way. So, I mean, yeah, again, it makes it adds insult to injury when they can do that, but it's. Yeah, I don't think that's going to make much of a difference from a legal standpoint, whether it's hard or easy. They should have thought of that when they sold it on a perpetual license. Yeah, someone's saying Berserk. I still need to see that. Like a friend's been trying to get me to see that for years. I promised him it was the next anime I would watch, and I almost never watch anime. So, but I have seen American Graffiti. Yeah, American Graffiti is interesting because it's just it's almost a bit like a dream sequence. It just kind of it kind of feels like you're just kind of wandering around at night the whole time, you know, from one thing to another. The movie Slacker is kind of like that too. Okay, yeah, more questions. Yeah, I've been going a while. Okay. Okay, so maybe I'll just start picking some now. Let's see. In the Okay, yeah, they're asking in Fahrenheit video. I described the true choice-based adventure game plot progression. They're asking if I've seen any like that. I'm not sure. From what I've heard, maybe Baldur's Gate 3 is like that. I don't know. It sounds like they're really planning for a lot of different decisions. Yeah, I said almost because I didn't know of any, but I thought, I don't want to say no because maybe there is one out there that I'm not sure about. So, and if this got mentioned on a previous video chat, so I'm not sure. I don't have plans for a VR game dungeon. I think that would be difficult to watch. I'm kind of aiming for whatever most people are able to watch on, Okay, somebody's asking about the cave world. They're saying in the maze of caves before McDougan reaches the airlock between space and cave world, you mercifully edited out the struggle to get the 2 books that are in the maze. I don't believe those items are ever mentioned again in the video. Were they actually necessary or were they pointless red herrings? I don't remember. Sorry. I mean, I remember plenty of things about the game. I don't remember every last puzzle, once I've done it. Let's see. I mean, what I remember most is being concerned I wasn't going to be able to finish it because there was one walkthrough. The translation didn't always work out, and I was getting stuck. So, like, there was no help coming for that one, so. Oh, yeah, somebody's saying they enjoy my videos more when I'm playing a game I really like. They're asking if I plan to do more like that. Yeah, I can. I'm wondering if that's the minority, though, who thinks that, and more just want to see the weird ones or just to have no idea what's coming. What's your opinion on blacksmithing? I know it's normally not something you talk about, but I'm genuinely curious. I mean, I think it's pretty neat. In fact, I could see myself if I was born in a different century, I could see myself going down that route. Being a blacksmith. But the blacksmithing, my main thought is like I sometimes look at some jobs or occupations or work, my brain just automatically files them as what I call like post-apocalypse jobs, where if there's ever like a huge disruption to society, those jobs are valuable or maybe much more valuable. And blacksmithing I put in that category where, in the age of, where you can have like factories and machine or metal 3D printing, that sort of stuff, it's not that relevant for most things except maybe like repairs of certain things. It's probably more of a hobbyist thing. But yeah, if civilization collapsed, that's much more valuable. I see things like gardening or like that, or sewing, farming, I think just remains relevant, period. But that actually reminds me, maybe somebody knows what I'm talking about. I've seen a comic before that I've been trying to find again. I can't find it. But what it was, I think it didn't have any dialogue. I think it was like a web comic where it starts off and it's showing like the CEOs of some sort of tech company, and I think they're probably parodying Google, and if you go to their office and it's like there's beanbag chairs around there, and it's like the most comfortable place to like type, and people are like lounging around, like some are typing, others are just having time. And then in the sky, you see like a meteor or a comet or something coming to Earth. And then it flashes forward to I think in the beginning they were like ignoring people around them. And it flashes forward to like a street and there's like a market going. Yeah, somebody's mentioned carpenter. That's another one. There's a market going on, and you see a blacksmith there who's working, and you can tell he's doing well. And like you see people like selling fruit, that sort of thing. And then you see the CEO there just like begging in the street, or there's I think there's more than one of them, and they're basically just completely destitute. And I was thinking, yeah, like my mind does drift to that a little bit, you know. If you know which comic I'm describing, let me know because I'd like to find it again. But yeah, it's who knows what the future holds, you know. I think, I mean, in the absence of a Carrington event, we probably don't go back to like full Middle Ages like that. But with an oil crunch that never ends, that would be a huge upheaval. Or just, well, I've talked about this in plenty of other video chats, or just like a enormous economic disruption or war. I mean, some wars could do that. So you can, society can. I think there's this perception by some people that the future always contains progress and we get better. Yes, sometimes, not necessarily. We can totally regress on things. So, okay, somebody knows exactly which comic I'm talking about. Yeah, well, I don't know where I saw it or anything, but if you can find it, send it. You can email it to me. Like, somebody reckons things will get back on track by 2030. Maybe, but back on track might look quite different than what you think it does. I can see that. Like the perception of back on track might look very different. Okay, I'm going to answer more of the submitted questions. Okay, somebody's asking what editing software I use for my videos. I'm using an older version of Premiere, and they're asking about free versions they can use without adding a watermark. I think DaVinci lets you do that, but I think for a while Blender had one, but then they backed off. Look, just look up free video editors. I'm sure you can find one that can suit you. Yeah, one of the things I've looked at with other ones, that one feature Premiere has that I kind of use that I haven't seen on many others, is being able to export the video in a lossless format. Like losslessly compressed. I sometimes do have need of that, and less editors have that than you might think. So, but you probably don't need that for what you're doing. What do you think of single-player games that have an MMO feel? And they're mentioning Sacred 1 and 2, Kingdoms of Amalur, Dungeon Siege 1 and 2. And they say the bosses of Dungeon Siege 2 really made me think the devs were playing World of Warcraft. Well, Dungeon Siege 1 and 2 don't feel like an MMO to me, but maybe they do for the kind of MMOs I haven't played. I mean, I love Dungeon Siege 1 and 2. The Kingdoms of Amalur I've never had a chance to really go through. I have played the first Sacred. I played a little bit of the second one, but was having trouble getting into it. Sacred, now that's one that might get a game dungeon. Sacred, it's like I want to like it so much, but then it does things I don't like. Like the automatic leveling, just it maybe there's a strategy that I was unaware of to deal with that, but it wasn't fun. It's like playing an RPG where you're trying hard not to level up, an action RPG, because it could be you're just gonna get weaker and weaker if you do that, unless maybe you have just the right build or something. I've never been a big fan of auto leveling. I'm much more a fan of like scaling to meet you as you're in that zone, and then it gets easier, but then you move to a new zone, it gets harder, or that sort of thing. Or it's just a steady level, and Or yeah, that's one thing. Sometimes the enemies remain about the same, but then as you level up, there are more enemies. so so you have all these extra so it's not that any one enemy is that much harder, but now you have to deal with a lot more, but then you have tools to deal with more. That can work. Uh, but yeah, it's no, aesthetically it's really cool. Sacred 1 especially. Uh, yeah, somebody's mentioning a City of Heroes officially back and licensed to the fans. You know, it took them long enough. I mean, how long was City of Heroes just like unplayable? I mean, it was years. So, I mean, I guess yeah, better late than never. But all the more reason to have laws. You know. About a year ago, you mentioned the drawing of an animal that collided with your bike and granted you a gift of a knee scar. What became of it? Um, that I showcased that in the art chat. That's on a Curse Farms Junk now. Just look up like the art discussion. It's in there somewhere. You can scroll, like you know you can get that thumbnail preview and scroll through. You can scroll through it. It was just on a piece of paper. It's or maybe I'll link. Tell you what, I'll link to that when I. I'll timestamp it if you want to see that. I mean, it's not a very good drawing, but it captures the spirit of it. What's your take on the current state of UFO discourse? And then below that, somebody's saying extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So, yeah, that's probably my. I haven't really followed it. My attitude is, if we're pretty sure there is one, it'll probably go viral. Like if the evidence is just so undisputable that like this is not of this world, then that'll probably go viral and I'll hear about it elsewhere. So, some news I treat like that. That I'm not going to follow the details, but if something comes of it, sure, then I'll listen to what's going on. So I was saying in the YouTube channel Ghost Town Living, this guy documents his life after buying the former mining town, Eastern California. The location is very remote, and mountain range overlooking Death Valley. He's trying to bring the town back to life that was there in the 1800s. Is something similar to this something you think you would devote your life to? Perhaps not a mining town in the mountains, but maybe a forgotten village in the woods waiting to be resurrected? Well, if I'm trying to survive, sure. I mean, that's not something I would do. I would do on purpose. I'd be doing it out of necessity. Where I feel like, you know, like if I'm not pitching in, like I'm gonna starve in a year or two from now or something like that. I mean, kind of mixed feelings on that because I can understand, you know, wanting to do that from a hobbyist perspective, but you know, building something in Death Valley, this is an example of something that, I mean, it's not sustainable from the resources around there. You basically, I mean, nowadays that town is basically, it has to survive on like outside materials and oil, you know, bringing it there and that sort of thing. I guess if it was there in the 1800s, it would have been a temporary thing to basically work the mine, because the resources coming from the mine outweigh the cost you're sinking into an inhospitable place like that. I mean, I'm assuming if it's near Death Valley, I'm assuming it's pretty inhospitable. So, I mean, I guess I understand. I see it as wasteful, but at the same time, it's not like an enormous waste compared to many other things. So, you know, I mean, if we're talking about waste, gaming, 3D gaming especially, that uses some kilowatt hours. So, you know, it's not like this is not a holier than thou thing. It's just that like, well, I'm kind of questioning like what the point is, but, yeah, well, that's why. I mean, it's this mentality is why we're not going to have a Mars colony of any. Yeah, it's never going to be a backup to Earth, or we're going to have Star Trek level technology before it would be. not in our lifetimes. Because it's going to be, even if you can do a lot of things on site, the conditions are harsh to the degree that you're still on a lifeline to the outside world. So if you're kind of cut off from that, you're in trouble. So, can we come live with you? Russ Commune for life. Let's hope we don't need to. I'm not ruling that out as a possibility. I'm not too proud to think like, oh no, look, who knows what's going to happen in the future. But I mean, I like the idea of stability. I'm a fan of stability. How do you feel about your name? What are some names? I think my name's pretty good. I like how it's short and to the point. Let's see. What are some names you wouldn't mind having if you weren't named Ross? I think those are mostly from from association, but one is Gabriel from Gabriel Knight. Simon from Castlevania. Also, I like the voice actor Simon Templeton from voice of Cain there. Richard's all right. Barry, I don't mind the sound of though. I guess Barry, that's usually like an abbreviation for Bartholomew, and that's too many syllables. It's long. Some people are gonna have trouble spelling it. So yeah, I wouldn't want that. But Barry, I'm all right with that. Same with Larry, but which is short for Lawrence. That one's I guess okay. But yeah, I would probably go by Larry if I was named Lawrence. What are some others? Oh yeah, somebody's doing the Veil of Darkness reference with Chuck. I don't know if I'm Chuck material, but the protagonist struck me as Chuck material. He just yeah. So I mean, people are gonna have different associations with names. Well, I guess since I've gotten it accidentally plenty of times. Scott, I don't mind because I've got. Yeah, I think I mentioned before how that was a game I would play with teachers when we'd start, class for the new year. That, they do roll call, and sometimes they would call me Scott, Scott Ross, because they assumed that was my first name. I'd just, say here, present, and I would never correct them. And the game would be see how long could I go before they realized that's not my first name. And I remember at one point, one teacher stopping me, at one. I think the longest I went was 3 months, or it was at least a month and a half. But one of them when they're looking at the sheet, is like, wait a minute, your name's Ross. I said, yeah. And they say, well, why didn't you correct me? I said, I don't care, And then I get this look, kind of just like, what, So, I mean, it was true, If they want to call me Scott, that's fine. Let's see. Let's see. I have not played Draken Order of the Flame, though I have heard of that one, so maybe I should look into that one. Oh yeah, somebody's. Oh, okay, they're asking about Eric from Internet Comment Etiquette. Apparently, he would be down with doing a collaboration. Sure, if we can think of the right idea. I mean, I don't want it to feel forced or hammed up. I want somebody who just has no idea who I am to still get entertainment value out of it. So we'd have to think about how to do it. But yeah, I'm all right with that if we have a good idea. I mean, I still think there's one. I need to catch up on his videos, but one scene of his just strikes me as to me, it just feels like pure genius. It was in his side series, I forget the name. It was Nobbleberry, where he plays this 18th century kind of British character, and and, and he comes across his nemesis, and he says where the nemesis pulls a gun on him, and he said something like, and so he starts trying to distract them, and he says, Geezer says what? And he says, what? And then, aha! And he pulls out like a full length musket on him. Like, that scene was just perfect. Like that's just like to me that scene was just genius. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan of his stuff. Like the, anyway, they're mentioning the pie menu system for related to the GUI episode. I will mention that when I do the follow-up, though again, I have my plate full at the moment. Yeah, it sounds like most of that's been on Linux, but there might be development on Windows now. Like he gives a link to one, but he says it's just a prototype. It's not really fully functional yet. Here, I'll put the link in the chat. Oops. Nuts. Okay, I hit copy twice and I meant to paste and I hit copy again. Wait, is that the right link? Oh, it's a YouTube. Oh, okay, it's a YouTube link. And then the YouTube has like the GitHub link from there, so. Yeah, let's see. Oh, have you considered attracting investors to fund professional production of the movie? No, look, honestly, I don't think I need that. I mean, I guess here's the thing. In order to get the kind of money where I could just work on it full-time, hire everyone, don't have to rely on like volunteer stuff and can automate, can get help on a lot of things, I don't think the movie's gonna earn that back. So, I mean, yeah, and then they make a pitch video with a short concept like this, and and the example they gives is Wall-E. That's Pixar. That's like a huge, I mean, okay, I'm assuming whoever pitched Wall-E to Pixar certainly had an in the industry somewhere. You know, I mean, that is not a, that's a huge production movie. So it's like, I don't think that came from some outsider giving a pitch. I could be wrong, but no, the main thing I need for the movie is time and solving a couple technical problems. And it's true that money can buy time for me, but it's like, I'm just trying to finish off this other stuff. And of course, this damn this damn shutdown comes up while I'm trying to wind down so I can devote nothing but time to the movie for a few months. And then this crap comes up. So I'm trying my best to sort of speed run the stopping the crew from being destroyed efforts. So that's why I have been doing like 50 emails today or something like that. Okay, let's see. I've been going a while. I've been going 2 or 3 hours. I'm tripping. Oh, it's only 2 hours? Wow, okay, it felt longer. Okay, I guess I can't keep going then. Yeah, someone's saying just let games die and follow your, okay, only 2 hours, wow. Someone's saying just let games die and follow your dreams. Not at this point. No, I'm committed. Like I'm locked in at least until April. Okay, like because I'm not gonna forgive myself and plus I bet that would let down a lot of people watching if I just like, nah, I decided I don't want to follow through with it. You're on your own. I've got to. I mean, hopefully I don't have to do much after April. But up through April, I mean, I'm still expecting to have to maybe do some stuff. Like, oh yeah, that's the other thing. I think the one area I am qualified to really help, I'm qualified at, I would say, is to explain the general concepts of how this works, because I'll see misunderstandings all the time. Well, they'll say like, well, it's a game that was designed for online, so of course we can't keep it going. It's like, no, I can call out the BS on that and just go step by step saying, well, it's like, that's like saying you can't rewrite a chapter to a book. It's like, well, I mean, it can be a lot of work, especially if you're doing it down the line when a lot of other chapters depend on that first one. But no, I mean, this, and plus, that's almost like, that's missing the point. The point is they took money, they sold the perpetual license, you don't have your game. In my eyes, I'm being nice by trying to propose solutions for this, for the companies to do this so that they're not ripping you off. When we're coming to the law, I don't see any point in being nice on that. That's their problem. They shouldn't have done that, is the way I look at it. Or they shouldn't do it in the future if it's something that gets like grandfathered in, so. Okay, I had talked enough about that this chat. Let's see. So it's saying I have two separate audiences with Freeman's Mind and Game Dungeon. Maybe. I know I don't know a lot. There certainly could be. I don't know a lot of people from the fan feedback who like Freeman's Mind but don't like Game Dungeon, but there is the reverse a lot, where they like Game Dungeon but don't like Freeman's Mind. So, but maybe I'm off. I don't know. Let's see. Do you in general think about the type of community or communities even you have formed? Actually, not really. I just kind of take my guess at it, and I just kind of focus on making a video that, like, if I was watching this, I would find this kind of intriguing, or funny, that sort of thing. Do you have any ideas for video shows that you would really love to do but don't have time? Yes, several. In fact, I'm hoping eventually AI sort of buys me more time by helping with like the tedious stuff, like volume balancing, or, knowing, or I just say cut here and it can kind of optimize the right timing for that or something. I would love to dictate how I want the video to go, and then the AI does it like 90% right or something. See. This sounds more like a question for my wife than me. If you were given the chance to speak to one breed of animal for a week, what animal would you talk to and what would you hope to learn from them? I have no idea. I doubt I would learn much. I mean, I imagine animals could talk. It would be stuff like hungry, scared, uncertain, scared. Or is that like, I think it would be like that. So angry, protect, so I don't think I'd have a lot of deep conversations from animals. We have JC Denton's Mind, do it. And they're saying they're 54. Are they the oldest person watching their channel? Probably not, actually. I only know at least one person older, but maybe watching these chats. For JC Denton's Mind, I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't know if I can do JC Denton's voice as well. Let's see. It's more of a low key. Okay, no, wait. Let me try to do JC Denton's voice. What's something I should say is JC Denton? Yep. Let's see. Do you have a single bit of evidence to back that up? Like this one where I have to like turn up the volume to. I'd have to do it at a low voice, but what a shame. What a shame. I forget where. How about getting a job? How I need more gravelly. Okay. How about getting a job? How about getting a job? No, my inflection's wrong still. It's like, do you have a single bit of evidence to back that up? And see, if I turn the volume up on that, it might sound all right, What? I think getting JC Den's inflections down would take considerable more work on my part. So, wait up. I have to drop. Wait up. I have to drop something. It would take practice, and even then, I'm not going to be a dead ringer or anything. So, yeah, some of these quotes I actually don't remember the context of where they were in the game. So some of them I do, others I don't. Oh yeah, you should voice it, then use a speech AI voice training his voice to get the voice. You know, that could be very possible because especially since so many lines from JC Denton are monotone. Yeah, no, you actually probably could do that. Yeah, so I just get his tone down and then process it. Yeah. I mean, they've been able to do those on more complex voices, but JC Denton's is a prime candidate for that. Let's see. Would you ever want to collaborate with Yahtzee? Or can I mention Common Etiquette? Sure, again, if we have a good idea, you know. Again, I don't want to force this on people, or if the idea just feels kind of hammed up or hammed up in a not that funny way. If it's, you can ham things up in a very funny way, but it's got to be done right, you know. Okay. Oh yeah, this one I thought was kind of off base here. They're saying, although it's no surprise that corporate games are soulless and devoid of creativity, the same is also true of indie games made by small development teams. We no longer see unique visions such as Alone in the Dark, Eye of the Beholder, Waxworks, Realms of the Haunting, Seventh Guest, Sanitarium Undying, American McGee's Alice. Okay, list a bunch more. The last visionary IP of note was Dark Souls. Is this because of the homogenizing effect of social media and the internet? Because the industry has turned to knockoffs and sequels as a way of minimizing risk, or something else? I think I disagree on that. I mean, okay, just off the top of my head, one game I can think of that I haven't even played it that's left an impact, like IP-wise, is Disco Elysium. A lot of people have mentioned that, and I don't think that's I don't think that one's that derivative of anything. I mean, from other games I know of. No, there's tons of indie games that I think are like really fresh and interesting. In fact, part of my problem, see, my games list is not necessarily going to be the most creative games out there, because that's another one that came to mind was it Cruelty Squad? That looks like something that's not like a knockoff from what I've seen. The what was it? Yeah, the games I'm looking, sometimes the most creative ones aren't necessarily something I want to play because they're just very weird. Oh yeah, that's another one I do want to play. What was it called? Paradigm. Yeah, that one looks weird and creative. And you also, for that kind of game, you also had what, Dropsy the Clown or something. That's so. Now that said, there are a lot of imitation games, but I'm someone, if it's a game that's imitating a style of a good game and the game looks good, great. I don't care if it's not the most creative. I mean, if I'm having, I care if the game's fun, like, or if it's like really intriguing, that sort of thing. So yeah, sometimes the most creative ones aren't necessarily the most fun, but they're just way out there for the gameplay or whatever. So, I mean, maybe this is kind of like a troll comment to try to get a reaction or something, but no, you may need to search harder. Look through my games list. You know, it's at cursefarms.com. It's one of the top buttons. I bet there's stuff there if you're saying the last original IP was Dark Souls, I bet there's stuff in there you haven't seen. I mean, there are plenty of imitators, and I think I heard recently that on Steam, this may not be true. I forget where I saw it, but they were saying the new games Steam is getting daily is about 48. Now, a lot of those are going to be like asset flips and junk, or just really basic games that aren't really worth people's time. But that's those are yikes numbers. Okay, I don't. I mean, I know there's a lot of creative stuff out there. So yeah, okay. Somebody's saying Outer Wilds. Yeah, that's a game with a kind of a unique storyline, some concepts. So it's yeah. Somebody's saying DayZ. Well, yeah, I guess the mod. Well, I mean, DayZ was a mod of Arma, but originally, or Arma 2, or but I mean, you could argue it's not the most original concept, but I mean, if they're talking a little more like original IP, there's plenty of stuff too. Like one game, I'm sort of on the fence whether I want to play it or not. It's like it's basically like if you made a Disney movie of a Lovecraft story. You know, somebody probably knows. I forget the name of it. It might be like Peregrine or something. No, there's so many creative ones. There's a newer one that looks pretty trippy, Cocoon, that where it's like you're just kind of going into different realities. There was another kind of weird, kind of liminal space perspective one. Well, somebody's saying "Forgive Me, Father." "Forgive Me, Father." That one's pretty clearly derivative. That one fits the definition of boomer shooter, but it's good. I mean, I like it. I've played through that one. So, yeah, somebody's saying "Faith, the Unholy Trinity." You can maybe argue that one's derivative. It's sort of like a mix of like a little bit beyond, yeah, I guess sort of like Commodore era versus like a slasher movie. Well, the Stanley Parable has been out a while, but yeah, there's tons of stuff. It depends on what metric you're looking at. I mean, even if okay, for the stuff they're mentioning, it sounds like they're wanting like darker, some, yeah, either like dark fantasy stuff or contemporary setting with a darker aspect to it. I'm trying to think of stuff that's come out since Dark Souls that fits that bill. I'm sure there's some stuff in it. I'm just drawing a blank at the moment, but okay, somebody's saying Signal Ops. Okay, well, if you want to know an example of just like creative stuff, okay, somebody keeps saying Signalis, but one I forget the name of it. Like, I think it's called Phantom Ops, where the idea is it's sort of like your military. Because you mentioned Gears of War here. Gears of War is a little more derivative. I mean, so if you're willing to go with that level of derisiveness, there's plenty of options. I think it might not be called Phantom Ops. I think it was Phantom something. But this is a VR game, and the whole thing is from the perspective of a kayak, and you're just going in, you know, kayaking, infiltrating this enemy compound and like shooting from your kayak and then going more. And it has like a pretty high production value. Unfortunately, I think that one is an Oculus exclusive. So you can't run it on PC unless you have an Oculus Rift, which I hate that, or Quest. I hate that crap. I hate how they've like tried to divide the already weak community. But I mean, that's not a concept I would have thought of. Or a weird game. Okay, a weird game off the top of my head that I played. Maize, Maize. You know, like the corn. I mean, it's not the best game ever, but that one's creative. I don't think you could say that one's that derivative of, or if it's derivative of like weird claymation in like the 80s or something. I don't know. It kind of has almost like a Pee-wee's Playhouse feel to it, but its own slant on things. So yeah, I very much I have games I want to play coming out of my ears. So like I'm afraid I don't relate to your problem. Sorry. And check my games list at cursefroze.com if you really think that. Okay. Somebody's saying I should maybe do some shorter game dungeons. Yeah, I maybe should. Let's see. How did the long format come to almost be predominant. I just keep getting carried away as it happens. But no, I think I can bring the shorter ones back. What will force me back is if I get on some more Commodore 64 games. I think that'll help shorten them. Okay, I'm gonna skip some more. Let's see. Just because I don't have like great answers, they're just kind of. Even though I imagine these chats can get pretty boring, I try to not make them too dull. Okay, well, I'll mention this quick. They're referring to a previous chat. There's talking about AI upscaling, and I mentioned a painting titled "The History of Our Town" that had a bunch of crazy stuff in it. What was the name of the game? That's Leisure Suit Larry, magna cum laude. It's in the library in the game. Like if you go into the library, there's this big mural of the history of our town, and it's the texture resolution is so poor that like I've never wanted higher definition than in that game, because and the image is so interesting because it's like the haziest pictures, but I can make out what looks like a giant robotic Abraham Lincoln attacking the town. And I think I can make out like George Washington on a velociraptor. But it's just, I don't know what the pixel count was. Maybe like 20 by 20 or something. I mean, it was just, it's so rough to make it out. So let's see. I have not played Star Crusader. I took a look at some gameplay from it. It looks intriguing, though I'm not a good pilot. So we'll see. Other questions I don't have a great answer for. Okay, okay. Oh, wow. To quote your episode of The Crew, I'm wondering why there wasn't a parade in the streets over this. Well, this person felt that way about the Back to the Future Telltale game. I heard it wasn't that good, or maybe the writing wasn't that great. I mean, the remarkable thing about that is like the Michael J. Fox impersonator they have is just like, you can't ask for better. It's yeah, I think even Christopher Lloyd was saying like if he didn't know, like he would have thought that's Michael in the studio. Like so yeah, if you're looking for someone who sounds just like the real Marty McFly, then or better because he's younger, really, then that's the play. But I don't know. I heard it wasn't that good. So, but I don't know. I haven't played it though. And they're mentioning my love for Telltale games. Not really. I mean, I've played some of them. I've played like the first two Walking Dead. And I've played The Wolf Among Us. I mean, I thought they were okay and they have like a good style, but I mean, Puzzle Agent is the game I loved, and that was kind of the anomaly for Telltale. So, I mean, yeah, I love everything about Puzzle Agent. So, when you aren't producing content or playing games older than I am, what sort of things do you like to do? Well, I also like watching movies and videos. I read usually when I eat. I mean, every day I'm going out to exercise, usually to the forest. I mean, it's not that I like to do that all the time. It's more like the quality of my life is going to be a lot better if I'm exercising every day. And for some reason, part of me craves forest on some level. It doesn't mean I need it all the time, but part of me just really wants forest. I don't know why. It's something that like turned on in me in like my 20s or something. I don't know. I can't explain it. What other stuff am I doing? I mean, I haven't done it in years, but I like doing it. Skiing, amusement parks, or just kind of thrill ride stuff. Like I think I've done a few zip lining. like that, or water parks, or you know, yeah. I mean, part of when it comes to like amusement parks and rides and stuff like that. I mean, part of me is like a kid that never grew up. I mean, I still enjoy that stuff. So, I mean, I, it's been a long time. So I've played some basketball before. I mean, casual, not like not like on an official team or anything. Ping pong. Let's see. Trying to think of some other stuff that I like doing. Somebody's saying carnivals are better, amusement parks are too safe for the adrenaline junkie and me. We'll try uh, uh, the drop towers. I bet get your heart going, you know. Or if they don't, you need to find those ones where they just drop people. What they'll do is they'll suspend them over this giant net and then just free fall drop them. And I've heard, yeah, there's like, I think there was an article that showed that like scans on that are like they did brain scans on that, and that's like the closest you can get to basically dying, like for how your brain treats it. So yeah, if you want a near death experience, find the amusement park that has one of those like free fall safety nets. I haven't done that. I don't. Thankfully, my adrenaline level needs are not that high. I, I mean, I love like wooden roller coasters. Those are great. Those are right at my level. So I can do more, but like that's like optimum enjoyment for me. Because I like how they're like kind of rickety and you feel more of the bumps, that sort of thing. Let's see. Okay, more. Okay, well, this is a question that's been asked a lot of times, so I'll have to bump that up next time. I've answered that one before, so, and it's one I have to think about. Somebody's asking how much research goes into Freeman's mind. Occasional. It depends on what I'm talking about. Okay. I want to ask, how's your mental state really? Not like are you sane or not? I tend to feel overworked most days, but if this is they wanted the frank, honest answer. I hope to eventually reduce that, but again, I don't know how to reduce that without letting people down or getting into trouble. So it's kind of I'm keeping my fingers crossed. AI kicks open some doors for me, takes some of the load off. Uh, and I can understand why you don't think that, given my video output. But I'm juggling a lot of things. But, well, that's one thing I'm looking forward to with this game shutdown is I'm going all in. Like I'm gonna do every single effort I can. So I'm gonna close the book on this for me, one way or the other. And the only thing I'm doing after that on it is AI stuff, and that's not gonna be the same kind of obligation or stress on it. Let's see. Somebody's asking why don't I bite the bullet and just start smoking crack with the to get the movie done. Yeah, well, I think that could backfire. You know. Let's see. No, I mean that was the plan. Get a couple more videos finished up. That's still sort of the plan. Get a couple more videos finished up, and then be doing like nothing but the movie for a few months in spring. And then this damn shutdown comes up, but maybe I can still make it happen. I'll see. It's the sort of thing where maybe if I work harder now, then I don't have to work as hard later. So. Out of curiosity, when Freeman climbs the ladder, why does he look directly at a wall? Wouldn't it be logical to look up when you climb a ladder? Maybe, but I remember things can go weird when like things can get weird with Half-Life physics, so that it breaks the illusion too much. But no, you're probably right. Or it looks so fast it felt off. But I mean, I don't know. I can face forward when climbing a ladder. I mean, if you're looking up, I feel like that means you have a lot of confidence in the ladder you're using. And I've been on some rickety ladders before, so like, whereas if it's kind of shaking, you're going to get more visual feedback sooner. And if you're looking at the ladder, or maybe that's just what my brain thinks. I don't know. How do you go about determining a game that's technically owned by a big company, falls under abandonware, and can be properly preserved and enjoyed without legal problems? Well, I mean, with legal problems, just if they haven't been selling it and if they're not selling it and it's been that way for years, and if the company has a history of not really caring about their old stuff, like EA's big like that. Like EA doesn't care. That's just that's the vibe I get from their old games. It's like they're not trying to stop them. They just don't care. They just don't do anything. So whereas like Nintendo, no, they do care and they will come after you, even if they're not selling it. So it can vary on company culture, but you say without legal okay, the Area 51 Lycan game by Atari, still technically owned by Atari by knowledge, but that was from '95, and Atari's done nothing with it since. I think the way most abandonware sites operate is they put stuff up that they think is a decent candidate, and then if they get a takedown request, then they adhere to it. So now, if you're trying to sell it, then yeah, don't do that. A lot of them will come after you then. So, any thoughts on GTA 6? Yeah, I saw the trailer. I mean, it looks like it could be good. I don't know. I mean, the social media element doesn't do anything for me. But maybe they had the funny moments, so I hope it's as wild as they're portraying. So we'll see. I still need to play 5, so the 5 strikes me as a summer game. Like some games, there's just overwhelmingly like bright and sunny. Those games I don't like to play during the winter or the fall. So and the reverse for games with lots of ice or really dark, moody vibe to them. So yeah. In fact, Days Gone kind of tricked me because it kind of starts off feeling like it's fall, but then you go to like this more arid area. I was like, oh, you tricked me because I thought it was just in like the wilderness with forest and stuff like that. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I guess my other thought on GTA 6 is I'll be impressed if the whole game looks as good as the trailer does, or if that's just like a promotional rendering thing. Because I was looking at it, I was thinking, man, those details to make it look that good, there is so much work behind that. So, okay. I'm skipping more questions. Some have been asked before. I don't mind answering questions again, but if they don't have a bunch of votes, I usually skip them because I figure people don't want to hear too much repetition, more than I already do. Oh, they're asking about episode 47 of Freeman's Mind, the gun sound changes. That was me moving through them fast, and I had a different sound guy helping me at the time. And we tried it, and I thought, like, okay, this works. But then a lot of people didn't like it, so we went back to the older one. Yeah, well, I talked about the Ubisoft not owning games thing. Several questions I've gotten before, so I'm skipping more. Let's see. Someone said, do you know of YouTuber H Bomber guy? I think I watched 1 or 2 videos by him. I forget which one. I have not seen his 3-hour video on Deus Ex Human Revolution. I maybe should. But let's see. Yeah, I think there was another that reminds me. Somebody will probably know in the chat that there was a video, recommended where it's saying, saying like Oblivion, a short analysis, and it's like 10 hours long or something like that. Had a lot of views though. So. I don't have plans to do a game dungeon on Beyond the Storm. I don't know if it has enough for me to make a game dungeon out of it. Do you play or read about anything about Warhammer 40K? I've read some in the past. I might do some in the future. The universe, it's intriguing. Yeah. Okay, well, let's see. These questions. Someone's asking, how close are we to World War III? I'm the wrong person to ask. I hope not close, but closer than I'd prefer, I think. Yeah, someone's mentioning the doomsday clock. They're saying it's currently 90 seconds to midnight. I mean, that sounds dramatic, and it could be accurate on the scale, but it's like it's such a subjective scale that I don't, or maybe I'm not familiar with the scale. Like I'm not sure that really has much meaning, but it's, yeah, I don't like, I don't like any of that. So. Okay, several questions I don't have great answers to. Okay, we're getting close to the end. So if you want to ask live questions, okay, well, somebody already did. Do at Ross Broadcast and then ask the question. I'll try to get through some of those while I'm looking at these. Oh, man. Yeah, see, like, I don't know how to answer this off the cuff. They're saying, please share your thoughts. What are the tech skills and knowledge humans will need for the next 5, 10, 15 years for not losing their job and have money for food and rent? I mean, yeah, have fun answering that. I guess short term, maybe healthcare. That's probably going to stay high in demand. I don't know. I'd have to really think about it. Let's see. They're asking. I've talked about things like oil depletion, global warming, consolidation of power, lobbying. Have you ever considered making a standalone video about these things or topics related to them? I may have one that's like a little related, but it's more kind of fun thing. If I have sufficient technology to make really good clones of yourself, would you want to? Yeah, maybe. I'd be tempted. Yeah, because we would split the workload. What are your thoughts on YouTube making videos lag more if they detect that you're running an ad blocker? I heard like I saw like a headline saying that that might be ad blocker itself and not YouTube, but who knows? I mean, they were doing other crap with ad blocker. Hey, if that works for them, I'm fine with that. Though I heard they can spike the CPU usage, and that's not very cool. I mean, because it's. I mean, I'm not going to notice it so much, but if you're like on a laptop or something or a phone, that could drain your battery more. I mean, I heard they might be getting into some trouble with the European Union for what they're doing because they're scanning your system too deep or something like that. I haven't really been following it. I feel like I've gotten my money. I mentioned several months back I paid for a third-party YouTube downloader because I wanted I wanted to back up some and like some's using as references. Boy, that ended up being a great decision. Like for when I have these like big hiccups with them. Okay, so let me look at the submitted questions. What is your GUI setup now? It's similar to what I had before, but I'm trying to move soon to really getting into mouse gestures. That's the next step. And then I got to make the icons, pick out my icons and customize that. And then finish off that window blinds theme. If I can ever, because I'm probably going to have to do that myself too. So I haven't gotten really the help. Or I got a lot of help for a while, but then it just disappeared. So, did you know that Windows 10 support is ending in 2025? I don't care. I mean, I'll upgrade when I have a real need to upgrade. You know, I mean, I was using 7 past when it was supported, years after it was supported. That's the thing. That's the classic definition of unsupported. It still works. You're just on your own. You know, no one can ever use it ever again at that date. How do you group your games? Is it genre, released as, free to play? No, they have a image of their system, but I better, well, no, that's right. It won't show up on this chat in case they're trying to slip me something else. Oh, no, it's not like that. It's mostly genre. But like, I have it plugged in on Launchbox. I don't use Launchbox as a launcher. I just use it as a game index organizer. But it also includes like where it is, like if it's on Steam or GOG or on disk, that sort of thing. Also, I usually put in the year if it doesn't pull it automatically. Yeah, I'd say like half the games I add, it pulls them from a database. Half of them it's never heard of, and I have to enter it myself. So yeah, I usually put the genre, year, and yeah, title, and a screenshot. That's it. So, does your wife help you in learning and pronouncing Polish? Yeah, but she often forgets about that, so I'm gonna have to make a more active effort to learn Polish myself. But if I ask her, she'll help me. Every once in a while, she'll correct me or suggest words, but yeah, I need to step up my game on that. What are your favorite or top favorite cities you've been to? And what are your least favorite cities? Okay, that I've been to. Pigeon Forge in Tennessee. That's like, it's like a never-ending stream of like mini golf, amusement parks, just this or fun kind of like giant statues and stuff. It had a lot of cool tourist trap stuff that I like. That's one I can think of. Least favorite cities? Well, I guess Los Angeles. I have been there. I'm the wrong mindset to live in Los Angeles. Favorite cities? New Orleans is pretty cool. It definitely has its own atmosphere, and you know, architecture. And you're hearing constant music. Yeah, New Orleans is really cool. Let's see. I'm trying to think of others like favorite and least favorite. A lot of others are sort of in between. I was trying to think of like standout ones, but what are some of your favorite albums? Let's see. Well, I mean, a lot of what I listen to is soundtracks, but I'm frequently trying to listen to stuff I haven't heard before. But I mean, I mentioned, you know, Castlevania Symphony of the Night and like Unreal soundtrack, well, Deus Ex. But for normal albums, I mean, again, all my sound tastes are outdated now, but like, or old. Like, you know, I mentioned Offspring, the Smash album. What was it? I think Alice Cooper, Brutal Planet. Kind of like that one. I would just, I'm usually listening more to songs now than like in full albums, but that's one I don't have a great answer ready for. Have you considered streaming yourself making your videos, at least streaming the fun parts like voice acting? Supposed to subscribe. It might be less fun than than you'd think because it's almost like robotic, like an assembly line. And then I'm spoiling the whole video if I'm doing all the voice acting ahead of time. So, what are your favorite state songs anthem for U.S. states and countries? I don't even know. Geez, I mean, okay, put it like this. I grew up mostly in Virginia. I don't even know. I didn't even realize Virginia had its own anthem. So that's how well I know that. Did you participate in any Polish Christmas traditions this past Christmas? I was pretty busy. My wife, sometimes she goes more in on that and tries to make kind of traditional Christmas food, though lately my skin's really reacting to a lot of foods, so it's a little more problematic. I mean, we did more of that in the past where she picked different foods, and then, yeah, I think there's also like a tradition where you open like one present early, but she forgot about that this year. So, she was kind of overwhelmed too. So, we were both kind of overwhelmed this year. Russ mentioned oceans make half Earth's oxygen. So we're leaving to know 99% of it stays in the oceans. So ocean die-off might not kill us. I am not qualified to answer that. I would need more, to comment on that. I would need more research. Are you familiar with Zoom platform? Well, I've used it a couple times. That's how I talked to Paul Morgan Stetler when we did the streaming sessions. They've been preserving and updating a lot of obscure, semi-obscure. Maybe we're talking about two different things. Because I was thinking of like Zoom for like video chats. Okay, no, I guess I'm not aware of them if it's something else, but I've only used that a couple times. Any progress on AI volume balancing? I didn't get to researching it yet. That was it was moving up higher priority, then bam, crew canceled. I mean, crew getting shut down. Just like, oh my god. Yeah. Have you ever read The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, or watched the movies? Yes, though I forgot. It's so long ago that I read the books, I've forgotten most of them. But I have seen the movies, and I knew there was a lot thrown into The Hobbit that wasn't there in the book. But okay, Zoom platform is a website where you can buy old games legally. Think old GOG. All right. What's something you wish you had a talent or skill in, creative or otherwise? It's one of those things I never got around to, but I mean, I was definitely had an interest in trying out breakdancing because that's almost like gymnastics, like on the ground, practically. Same with skateboarding. I never got good at that. Let's see, what was something else? The dreams deferred here. Let's see. I guess more martial arts would have. I mean, I know if with martial arts, I know a few moves that are very practical extremely well that it's almost like instinct. Like if somebody throws a punch at me, I could react extremely fast to that. If somebody throws a kick at me, I can react extremely fast to that. And let's see, something. So I just know like some bare. So I have it almost like muscle memory, a couple martial arts moves, but I don't know like a formal martial arts and like, you know, dozens of moves or anything like that. But the two I do know, I have used like once or twice, not in any like really serious situation, but like more like somebody messing with me, and that was just like bam, I was immediately on it. So. Do you have a need for programmers or any of your projects? I might at some point. Programming is one of those things, probably, but I don't remember off the top of my head. It's one of those things that I don't until I do when it comes up. So, yeah, okay, I think that's it. Well, thanks for showing up. It's gonna be a busy year for me, but at least I'll be able to close the book on one thing, you know, with the shutting down games, one way or the other, one way or the other. So that's the plan here, to just yeah, to just be able to tell you I literally did everything I could. The end. It's you're gonna have to, if we're ever gonna have a solution to this after this effort, then it's gonna have to come from someone, not me. So, all right, I'll see you. And more regular videos are coming. Right now, I want to stay on top of the crew stuff for like another day or two, and then I'll get back to the regular videos, just because I got a lot of emails on it. So, and someone else, yeah, one of the volunteers that I trust is helping to sort the receipt emails. You know, they don't have to send me the receipt, but you know, telling me they have a receipt. Though, again, it could be we don't even need the receipts. In which case, I bet we can get hundreds for multiple countries. In which case, that could probably kick off action in maybe a lot of the bigger countries. So, yeah, fingers crossed. All right, I'll see you.